Good day, Deep and Word family. Welcome to day 154 of our Bible study review. Today we're opening up a brand new book, the book of Ezekiel, and we're going through chapters 1 through 3. Now, before we open up and start reading from chapter 1, we need to know Ezekiel's past. Ezekiel was actually a priest in Jerusalem. So now he's in this Babylonian captivity, and Yah is certainly not going to waste this man's talent and heart for him. He is going to transition his ministry from priest to prophet. Chapter 1 is about this miraculous vision that Ezekiel gets from the heavens, right? From Yahuwah. And we're going to open up and start reading from verse 1 and then talk about this vision that he sees. It says, "In the 13th year, in the 4th month of the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, the heavens were opened and I saw visions of Elohim." And it says, "On the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of the captivity of King Jehoiachin, which Jeremiah called him Jeconiah." All right, so this is the same person, the last king that we read about as we closed up Jeremiah. So he says, "The word of Yahuwah came expressly to Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar, and the hand of Yahuwah was on him there." So Ezekiel is walking by this river and he looks up and he sees a whirlwind in the heavens. And this whirlwind, it opens up and he starts to see this vision of these heavenly creatures. There's 4 of them, and all 4 of these creatures, all of them have 4 wings and they have 4 faces, right? And the form is that of a man. And the 4 faces are the face of a man, the face of an ox, the face of an eagle, and the face of a lion. Other characteristics about these living creatures is that they appear as bronze, right? And it also says that when they go to and fro, it appears as lightning is flashing. Verse 15, "Now as I looked at the living creatures, one wheel was on the ground by the living creatures for each of the 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like the color of sparkling beryl, and all 4 of them had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was, as it were, a wheel in the middle of a wheel." So there's spinning wheels inside of this wheel, and they're connected to each of the 4 creatures. And what it says right here in verse 19, "Whenever the living creatures went, the wheels went with them. And whenever the living creatures were lifted up from the ground, the wheels were also lifted up." So they moved together as one. And it says that the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. So whenever the creatures would stop, the wheels would stop. They moved together. Ezekiel records that when these living creatures moved, right, when their wings were flapping, it says that it sounded like many waters. It sounded like the voice of the Almighty. And now let's read from verse 25. It says, "There was a voice from the expanse that was over their heads whenever they stood still and let down their wings. Above the expanse that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of sapphire stone. And the likeness of the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man on it high up. Then I saw glowing metal as the appearance of fire all around within it, from the appearance of his loins and upwards, and from the appearance of his loins and downwards. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and there was a brightness around him as the appearance of a rainbow that is in the cloud on a rainy day. So was the appearance of the brightness all around. This was the appearance and likeness of the glory of Yahuwah. And when I saw it, I fell on my face, and I heard the voice of one speaking." Now, if you would like to catch a visual of this, I have a video attached in the description box below so that you can see this little, picture of Ezekiel walking down the river, minding his own business, and then he catches a vision from up above. It's wonderful. I highly recommend that you check it out. It's a short video, but it gives you a visual of what he's seeing. Now we walk into chapter 2, and it's fairly short, so I'm just going to read the whole chapter. But understand, he sees this vision, and now he is down on his face, right? And it's as if the spirit of him has left his body. So now let's open up chapter 2, from verse 1, it says, "Then he said to me, Son of man, stand on your feet, and I will speak to you. When he spoke to me, the Spirit entered me and set me on my feet. Then I heard him speaking to me, and he said to me, Son of man, I send you to the sons of Israel, to a rebellious nation that has rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, and even to this very day. And as for the impotent and obstinate children, I am sending you to them, and you shall say to them, Thus says Yahuwah Elohim, as for them, whether they listen or not, for they are a rebellious house, they shall know that there has been a prophet among them. And you, son of man, do not be afraid of them, or be afraid of their words. Though briars and thorns be among you, you dwell among scorpions. Do not be afraid of their works, or dismayed at their looks, for they are a rebellious house. You shall speak my words to them, whether they listen to you or not, for they are rebellious. But you, son of man, hear what I say to you. Do not be rebellious like that rebellious house. Open your mouth and eat what I give you. When I looked, a hand was sent to me, and a scroll was in it. And he spread it before me, and there was writing on the inside and on the outside. And written on it were the words of lamentation and mourning and woe. So Ezekiel sees the vision, right? And he falls flat on his face, and it's as if his spirit leaves him. And then Yahweh, right? This mighty voice, he tells him, stand up, get on your feet, and I will tell you what to do. And then he sees another vision with a hand with a scroll, and he tells him furthermore what he's to do with this scroll. Right here in chapter 3, verse 1, it says, Moreover, he said to me, Son of man, eat what you find. Eat this scroll and go speak to the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he fed me the scroll. He said to me, Son of man, feed your stomach and fill your inward parts with this scroll that I give you. Then I ate it, and it was as honey for sweetness in my mouth. It's so true, y'all. His word, it is food. It nourishes our minds, our bodies. It restores us. It repairs us. And so we see that Ezekiel eats this scroll symbolically, but he is being filled with the Spirit to do a special work. So let's keep reading what he says right here in verse 4. Then he said to me, Son of man, go to the house of Israel and speak with my words to them. For you are not being sent to a people of foreign speech and of hard language, but to the house of Israel, nor to many peoples of foreign speech or hard language, whose words you cannot understand. But I have sent you to them who should listen to you. But the house of Israel will not listen to you, because they will not listen to me. And he says, for all of the house of Israel is impudent and obstinate, but I have made your face as hard as their faces, and your forehead as hard as their foreheads. So essentially he's saying, look, you're not speaking a foreign language to a foreign people. You're speaking the native tongue to your native people. And although they will hear you loud and clear, they will not listen to you, because they won't listen to me, right? The story is the same. But he says, I will make your forehead just as stubborn as their forehead. Now, the forehead and the hand, right? These represent who you worship, right? This is what you meditate on. And this, the works of your hand, prove who you serve. It proves who and what you believe in. So essentially, he's telling Ezekiel, just as stubborn as they are against me, I'm going to make you just as stubborn for me. Then Yahuwah commissions Ezekiel, and he says, look, you shall speak all of the words that I tell you to speak to these captives. All right. Now let's go to verse 12. It says, then the Spirit took me up, and I heard behind me a great thundering voice. Blessed be the glory of Yahuwah in his place. I also heard the noise of the wings of the living creatures that touch one another, and the noise of the wheels beside them, even a great rushing sound. So the Spirit lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness in the heat of my spirit, and the hand of Yahuwah was strong on me. Then I came to the captives at Tel Aviv, who lived by the river Kebar, and I sat there where they sat 7 days, causing consternation among them. And it says in verse 16, at the end of the 7 days, the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, I have made you a watchman to the house of Israel. Whenever you hear the word from my mouth, then you warn them from me. Verse 18, he says, when I say to the wicked, you shall surely die, and you do not warn him, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, that he may live. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at your hand. Verse 19, he says, yet if you warn the wicked one, and he does not turn from his wickedness or from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but you have delivered your soul. All right. And so this is what we need to realize about what we have been commissioned to do. We have been commissioned to share the gospel. We have been commissioned to be the salt of the earth. We have been commissioned to shine the light in dark places. We are called to warn people of sin. If we're aware of it and we see it and we don't say anything and they die in their sins, their blood, it is on our hands. Now, I want to take you to Revelation chapter 21, verse 8, so you understand that you are not called to be fearful of man. You are called to have a reverence for the Creator, right? The one whose image you bear. And I want to show you who will not enter into his heavenly kingdom. It says, but the cowardly. So don't be scared to do what our Messiah has commissioned you to do. You need to share the gospel and you need to expose sin. All right. So they know there has been a witness and they cannot say no one has ever told me. All right. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the abominable, the murderers, the sexually immoral, the sorcerers, the idolaters, and all liars shall have their portion in the lake of fire, which burns with fire and brimstone. That is the second death, and we need to know who we are. Our scriptures say that our Messiah has made us a royal priesthood, and the job of a priest is to understand and know what is holy and what is profane, what is holy and what is common, and we are to shepherd the people. That is our job. So we are to call out sin, right? And we are to shepherd the sheepfold properly. We cannot make exceptions for sin whatsoever, lest we hear the words, depart from me, I do not know you, you worker of lawlessness, you worker of Torahlessness. All right, let's get back to Ezekiel chapter 3, reading from verse 20. It says, again, when a righteous man turns from his righteousness and commits iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because you have not given him warning, he shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he has done shall not be remembered. But his blood I will require at your hand. Nevertheless, if you warn the righteous man that the righteous should not sin, and he does not sin, he shall surely live, because he took warning, and you have delivered your soul. So likewise, this is not about how you start. It's about how you finish. So if you started walking with Messiah and then you fell away and you started to live lawless, he says you're not safe. He says you're not safe. So that completely destroys the confessing Messiah once and then walking away to continue living in iniquity. He says, look, if you are a righteous man and you see one of the brethren living this way and you don't warn them, he will die in his sins. And the righteousness that he started in his beginning of his walk will be nothing. It will be washed away. That is exactly what these scriptures say. And that is exactly what Messiah says at the very end. Many will call him Lord, Lord, right? But he will say, depart from me, I don't know you. Why? Because they walked away from the covenant. They thought that they can confess Messiah as the bridegroom, but not act like the true bride, right? All right, let's finish out the chapter starting from verse 22. It says, the hand of Yahweh was upon me there, and he said to me, rise, go out into the plain, and I will talk with you there. Then I arose and went out into the plain, and the glory of Yahweh stood there as the glory which I saw by the river Chebar, and I fell on my face. Verse 24, then the Spirit entered me and set me on my feet and spoke with me and said to me, go, shut yourself up within your house. As for you, son of man, they shall put bands on you and shall bind you with them so that you cannot go out among them. And I will make your tongue cleave to the roof of your mouth so that you shall be mute and cannot be won to rebuke them, for they are a rebellious house. Verse 27, but when I speak with you, I will open your mouth and you shall say to them, thus says Yahweh Elohim, he who hears, let him hear, and he who refuses, let him refuse, for they are a rebellious house. I want to parallel this with Revelation chapter 21, verse 11, because it's essentially saying the same thing. He who is just, let him remain unjust. He who is filthy, let him be filthy still. He who is righteous, let him be righteous still. He who is holy, let him be holy still. So those who have a heart, right, to serve him, he says, continue to serve him. And those who have a hardness of heart, who will not hear the truth, who want to walk in their sins, he goes, let them continue. He says, either way, I will have a true witness to speak on my behalf. And those who have ears to hear, they will hear. And those who don't, they are destined for disaster. That's how chapter 3 ends. And I just want you to see that the word of Yahweh is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. And he has called us all to prophesy of his word, prophesy of the truth, be a witness, right? And turn on those lights, turn on those spirits within those who are dead on the inside. You could be mightily used by Yahweh, just like Ezekiel has been. There's one more video that I have in the description box below. Please check it out because it helps you to understand the ministry of a priest and the ministry of a prophet, and then the overall ministry of Ezekiel. Deep in Word family, that's all that I have for you today. Until tomorrow, Yah bless.